Hello. Um, Today I'm going to start on my new project, which is a different kind of YouTube channel. I have a feeling that my channel on modern classical music isn't going to get a mass following, so I'm also interested in film up to a certain point. I used to be quite a keen cinema goer, and I used to go to art cinemas and things in London a lot at one time, but I haven't been doing that recently. What I have found, though, is with the advent of the internet, I've been able to dredge up, so to speak, an enormous number of quite obscure old British films. Quite a lot that I'd never even heard of, actually, and I'm finding it quite fascinating. Now, I've been inspired by Mr. 99 Filmo, another YouTuber who's done literally hundreds of reviews, mostly of extremely serious art films, very interesting films, some of them very great films, but I'm not going to do that. I've decided I'm going to celebrate the obscure British film of the 30s, 40s and 50s, and occasionally the 60s probably. I don't suppose I'll go any further than that. Now, I think it's a field that is greatly underestimated. I mean, some of them are basically rubbish. Quite a few of them are okay, mildly entertaining, nothing special. And then occasionally you come across a real gem which has pretty much been forgotten. And I think it's rather important that the virtues, and many virtues of British film in the 20th century should be celebrated a bit more. For example, brilliant actors and actresses, there are in so many of them. Very good scripts, often very intelligent, witty scripts, often. Also, some of the directors, although they may not be world famous, some of them are very, very good directors, and some of the cinematography is extremely effective and impressive. So, anyway, I'm going to sort of pick out a few slightly obscure old British films and sort of rabbit on about them a bit, and then give you a little clip. And hopefully this will help to encourage people to discover our wonderful heritage of British film. So, today, more or less at random, I picked out a film from 1963 called Ladies Who Do. Now, it's rather curious. It's a very interesting period piece, and that's another thing I've got to mention, that one of the reasons I enjoy watching these old British films is that they depict very vividly a Britain which has in many ways largely disappeared. I mean, visually, in some ways Britain looks much the same, but in many ways culturally it has changed enormously, and it's fascinating to see the world that these old films evoke. This film actually is from 1963, so it's at the latter end of my period of interest, and it has wonderful people like Peggy Mount, Robert Morley, Harry H. Corbett, and quite a lot of other very well-known actors and actresses from that period, all in it. And what it's about is it's about a group of cleaning ladies. That's what the expression was in those days, ladies who do for you. In other words, they do the cleaning for you. Char ladies was another way of describing them. And they're all working in offices, and they get involved in a curious way in the world of high finance and property speculation. And what happens is they get to grips with a rather unscrupulous property developer, played by Harry H. Corbett, typical sort of shabby, shifty character, who is basically going to knock down the houses that some of them actually live in. They end up actually competing with him as a rival property company and effectively defeating him in the end. It's all a bit sort of silly, and it's not a hugely important film, but it's entertaining, it's very much of its time, and it contains some marvellous performances from actors and actresses, some of whom should be better known these days. So that's Ladies Who Do from 1963, and also it's quite important to point out that this in a way it's actually a significant social document, this film, because as you'll gather from the opening sequence, It's at a time in Britain, particularly in London, but in other parts of Britain, when there was a sudden boom in modernisation. Big new modern buildings were appearing everywhere, and it was also a time of full employment. I mean, it was people could just leave a job if they didn't like it and get a job the next day. In those days, it was very different from now, and in a way, you can see this film is presenting the juxtaposition between the old world of London, these middle-aged cleaning ladies who live in terraced houses and are very typical old-fashioned sort of Cockney Londoners, and then this new world of high finance, property speculation, spivs and loan sharks and all the rest of it, and the way these two worlds end up conflicting. In this case, the old world, in a sense, wins out at the end. So that makes it slightly more interesting as well. So it's worth watching even as a piece of social documentary in its way. It features music by the very well-known British film composer Ron Goodwin, and it's directed by somebody called C.M. Pennington Richards. So that's a name to conjure with. I don't think he became famous later on. Anyway, here we go. Here's a little snippet to introduce Ladies Who Do.
You shouldn't smoke so much. You really shouldn't after all those dreadful warnings.
Mrs. Carpenter's husband gave it up and he got run down by a bus a week later.
That's got nothing to do with him giving up smoking.
No, but it didn't do him any good, did it?